You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, it's down, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. Tuesday night, recapping week 13, and it was a damn good week. If you were riding with Evo on the bets, still a plus week for me, but your boy over here had a week. We're going to talk about it, man. We had a lot of good games. We talked about a lot of these games Sunday morning, recapping our Thanksgiving and our Friday games. We're going to recap the rest of the week tonight. But before we start doing that, my man, Evo, welcome into the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty easy, lazy Tuesday for me. Took off the entire day of work because I had an hour-long doctor's appointment. So why not take the whole day off of work?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely worth it. Doing good though, man. Happy. Had a good week of bets for the show. Was so close to hitting my Lineman Lounge parlay as well. Saquon was, I think, like 7 yards short or something like that of hitting that Lineman Lounge parlay. And other than my fantasy team now also being out of the playoff picture, everything went pretty good for me over this week of football. So happy to see it.
So I got a couple of fantasy football league wins. In our league, I won. Doesn't matter, but I think I fucked Kohler out of making the playoffs probably. Things happen. Gonna play spoiler there at the end. In another league with some of the other podcast people. Doing well there. But, man, my Browns kept it close. Thought they were going to cover. They couldn't get it done. I didn't do anything today other than sitting at the house, work on some projects because it snowed a metric fuck ton at my house over the last few days. Like 40 inches now over the last 4 fucking days.
Yeah, I've been seeing your videos. Lots of content going up. Shout out to producer Amber for all the TikTok and short reel content that has been going out. I've been seeing a lot of it. A lot of good stuff out there. But you've been posting all these pictures of massive 6 inches of snow and whatnot. So that's good to see.
Well, listen, don't worry about producer Amber because just like that pile of snow that was about 6 inches, I also grow. So with that, let's take a look back at the week that was. Let's take a look at our records because, my man, you came in and just lit it up this week. Fucking 12-4 on the week. You had the one game that you missed on Thursday. Titans. I thought that was crazy that you went that way. The Bucks, we both missed. That kind of stunk. And then the Ravens, tough game, close game. We'll break that one down. But, brother, you had a hell of a week. And that week and my week actually brings us to a combined total of 97 and 1 for both of us. So we are back to a tie on the year, both at 500, picking nothing but the spreads on the year. Not bad. Obviously, 500 it's not going to make you any money because minus 110 odds. But we got a chance here at the end to really kind of right the ship on the way the season has gone because we started out slumping hard.
Hey, look, the way I look at it is we are playing right now with at least one arm tied behind our back this season. Doing just against the spread, that's not a realistic way that anyone's going to actually place bets, right? You're going to be mixing and matching. You aren't going to bet every single game. You're going to do money lines. You're going to do spreads. You're going to do over-unders. You might do one team scores. You're going to bet how you want to make money when you're actually in it, right? We are playing in a very narrow lane right now where we're betting every game and we are betting only against the spread. So to be 500 with that sort of a record, I think is pretty impressive because if you watch a lot of the other pundits out there, they are going to tell you, bet the over-under on this one, bet the money line on this one, don't touch this one. They aren't always going to do against the spread. We are jockeying ourselves into a very narrow lane. So to be at 500 in this sort of manner, I think is pretty fucking awesome that by through week 13 that we were both there. So that's not to pat ourselves on the back, but I mean, that's pretty strong showing right there.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we still got a few weeks to go, but I feel good. It would have been nice to have a little bit better week. Would have been nice to see my Browns actually cover on Monday night when they had, I guess, multiple opportunities to cover. Actually, a couple opportunities to maybe even win that game. But I digress. We'll get into that in a little bit. But brother, before we start diving in, do we have any other sports topics out there in the world that we need to touch on, that we need to get into? Because listen, we get caught up in a lot in the world of the NFL. But the NFL, I mean, dominates basically the entire sports world here in the United States. Any other news?
Nothing too crazy that I'm kind of seeing. All the major news that we're seeing right now is kind of focused around football. Like, yes, there's college football. Michigan Wolverines, despite getting the win versus your Ohio State Buckeyes, they fire their offensive coordinator. It's nothing too crazy outside of the realm of football. There is a decent amount of football news that we're going to go over, but we can get to those when we get to the games.
Go Cavs! Cavs are still kicking ass. 18-3, best team in basketball.
All righty, got to stand on what you got, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, the Guardians couldn't get it done. The Browns damn sure ain't doing anything this year. I mean, I'm pretty sure that ship is officially sailed now. Let's go Cavs.
Yeah. All righty. Well, with that, we can jump into our week of football. Now, like you kind of prefaced, we already talked about our Thursday games from Thanksgiving and our Friday night game. Only thing I really want to retouch on that is obviously we saw the Lions beat the Bears. Bears have now moved on. Interim head coach. And the big thing here, though, is we both believe that the Lions are the best team in football, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be interesting going forward. I re-looked at all the injuries that they have right now. They are pulling guys left and right off of practice squads. Their defense is decimated. I believe that they only have 3 starters who are out there who started the season. I think all of their linebackers are now injured. Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez, everyone's hurt. They don't have any of their original starting pass rushers. It's a defense that is completely decimated. Was the weak side of the team. How much do you think this is going to affect this squad going forward? Because they are pulling in Jamal Adams off the street. I know that they signed a couple other players off of practice squads. Rams practice squad. They got a defensive lineman who was actually on the Vikings squad during the offseason. A linebacker. Like, do you think that their depth, which seems to already be depleted, do you think Dan Campbell can get this squad going and still be as dominant? Because we know that the offense can hang 30 on anyone pretty much, but can the defense actually hold other teams at bay now? And is this going to possibly ruin this kind of epic run that the Lions are having?
I don't know if it'll ruin it, but so sure, there's going to be a little bit of a drop off. Anytime you have guys coming in off the street, there's typically going to be a drop off unless your name is Joe Flacco. But that, like, they are still going to be very, very well coached. I don't think that's going to change because, let's be honest, that Lions defense didn't exactly have a bunch of star players, a lot of big names, guys that but they were getting a lot more with less. They had a bunch of guys that we thought were Jags who are drastically overperforming. So I think that is very similar to something that we are going to see. We're going to see guys who come in off the street. They might not be great, but they're going to be, adequate at their position. I mean, Jamal Adams is a guy that was in the league for a very long time, was very, very good while he was in the league, unless it was, had anything to do with him trying to catch an interception. So these guys know how to play. They're going to be well coached. Will you see dominance? Will you see 50-7? Probably not. Will you maybe see 34-21? Yeah. I still think that they're that good and can be that good, but it is no joke. The injuries are real, and you'll see a step back.
Yeah, and just to kind of go over this real quick, middle linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin starter on the IR, Aiden Hutchinson IR, Kyle Pico at the defensive tackle IR, Derek Barnes, linebacker, IR. Alex Anzalone, IR. Malcolm Rodriguez, IR. Enos Rakestraw, young cornerback, IR. Melon Fawu at safety, IR. A bunch of your other depth guys, John Kaminsky at defensive end, IR. Makai Wingo, rookie defensive tackle, IR. They have, and there's more names than I listed off there even that are on IR. And then you have DJ Reader and Josh Pascal, two of their main defensive linemen, and Levi and Wuzurike, all questionable with injuries. Like, they are beat, especially along that front seven. It's going to be difficult sledding going forward, but like bro, they can hang 30 on anybody. The problem is they're going up against a very tough schedule here for their last 5 games. They have the Packers this week on Thursday night, which we're going to just, they're doing very well. You also have the Bills the week after, the Bears, who they just barely were able to scrape by on Thursday. You have the 49ers. That's probably their easiest game coming up now, which is odd to say at this point in time of the year. You wouldn't think that we'd be saying that at the beginning of the season. And then they cap off the year against my Vikings. So it's not going to be easy sledding for this Detroit team. Yes, right now, are they the best team in football at 11-1, tied with the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah, but I could see them dropping 4 of the next 5.
I don't know about 4. They for sure beat the Bears, and I think they for sure beat the 49ers still.
I don't know. The 49ers is the one win that I think that you can slate up here. But again, the Bears, they're now going to be untethered away from that head coach who lost them the game against the Lions. They absolutely could beat the Lions. That's going to be a game in Chicago where Jared Goff doesn't play as well in the middle of winter. The Packers, that's almost a coin flip with how this defense is hurt. The Bills obviously are one of the best in the AFC, and it could be a potential Super Bowl matchup that we're seeing here when they're playing the Bills. And then my Vikings, of course, you don't know what you're going to get from them week in and week out, but also that game was decided at the end by a field goal. Like, I don't think any of these games other than that 49ers game is a give me. So, like, they could come out of this with 4 losses. I think 3 out of the 2 being losses is absolutely a possibility, and that could be enough for them to lose that 1 seed in the NFC. So, look, be on the lookout for the Lions to possibly have a little bit of fall off here towards the end of the year with how many injuries they've encountered.
I mean, yeah, they're very hurt, and it's a tough schedule. As much as we hate the Packers, I know you especially hate the Packers. They're pretty good. They're a pretty good team right now.
Yep. All righty. Well, I just wanted to get that off my chest and make sure that everyone is tracking. The Lineman Lounge is paying attention. This is one of the least talked about things right now, I think, is it's always Lions are doing so good, and they are, but they are beat up, and this could absolutely derail what is otherwise a fantastic season for this team. But getting back into the actual games from Sunday, we got the Chargers and the Falcons in Atlanta. Falcons lose this one to the Chargers 17-3, and Kirk Cousins with 4 interceptions. He has not thrown a touchdown in his last couple games. I believe he has something like 7 or 8 interceptions to no touchdowns over like the last 3 games. It's been rough sledding for Kirk Cousins in this Falcons team. He still has no defense. Bijan had a good day, 26 carries, 102 yards and a touchdown. But the Chargers were just good enough on the shoulders of Lad McConkey, having another phenomenal game to stay ahead in this one, drop Falcons, and make things a little bit more interesting there in the NFC South for the other teams there. But yeah, like Kirk Cousins not having a good game. You're starting to hear all these rumors of maybe Penix finishes out the season. Maybe they look to trade Kirk in the offseason, which he has a no trade clause again. So he might make it hurt for the Falcons. But like, what do you do after signing this guy for $180 million and he's playing like this? It's tough.
I'll fucking 1-for-1 swap him, but they're not going to do that, obviously. What do I think they should do? I think Kirk should probably rest up and make sure that he's truly healthy, because he obviously hasn't been healthy. And that's going to be the excuse for why the poor play has happened, because he's coming back from injury. I don't think that this experiment is long for the tooth, man. This is it. 1 year. Michael Penix, I think, is taking this team over next year. I think the Falcons are ready to move on already as well. There's no reason to keep doing this. The facade is over. They're not that good. Play Michael Penix.
They've got a lot of really good offensive weapons, and that's the problem is that this offense filled with good weapons, good young coaching, isn't producing, and a big part of that has to go to Kirk. I think we're going to be looking at potentially a situation just like we saw with the Denver Broncos, where they're going to have to cut Kirk because Kirk can just sit there. Look, his wife's family's from the Atlanta area; they're happy there. The only other place that they really seemed to be happy was up in Minnesota because they enjoyed that Midwest.
Yeah.
I could see him being like, "Nah, I'm not moving on my no trade clause. You can either cut me and accept a huge amount of dead cap, or you can let me sit here and ride the bench if you want to play Penix." And then I'm going to be a baby about it because he does get a little bit emotional about these things. But like they might be forced into a situation where they end up having to cut Kirk Cousins to get him off the team and not be such a cancer. And in that case, like, who knows where he'll go from there? But it'll be his choice. That I saw some odd stat, and I cannot confirm it. But in this game versus the Chargers, it was like the first time ever in the recording of this stat that a quarterback hasn't thrown more than 35 miles per hour in an indoor stadium.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it like watching his passes, they are all just nice little soft lofts. And again, 24 of 39 on the day, but still, apparently there was no completed pass that went for something like over 35 miles an hour. Again, this was from a reliable source. I can't remember the exact source, but I saw it somewhere on the X that it was like the first time in NFL history that they haven't had a quarterback indoors throw for more than like over 35 miles an hour, which is insane because these guys are typically throwing a little bit higher than that. Still, it's just going to be really interesting watching this going forward, seeing how the Falcons tackle this, because this was a team that goes out, they draft Penix, and they probably could have been in the same sort of situation as a Denver Broncos, a Washington Commanders, used all those assets that they had towards defensive players instead of paying Kirk $180 million to now be a guy that they don't even want on the team the next season.
Yeah. Pass rusher sounds real nice if you're a Falcons fan right now instead of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Because they can't generate any pressure. Now, I do have one bitch about this game that really kind of upset me because the Chargers played a decent game, but what the fuck happened to their run game? And why did they get away from it? Because they had two guys, Kamani Vidal and Gus Edwards, very few carries, but both going over 5 yards a carry. Why the fuck did they not run the ball more? That's where I missed my Lineman Lounge parlay, was because Gus Edwards only had 6 carries, 5.3 yards a carry, and they just got away from it. Now, they did enough to win. Ladd McConkey had a good day, but them getting away from the run game with J.K. Dobbins being gone, I don't know how that plays long-term for this Chargers team.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they actually ran very many offensive plays, to be honest. Like, this was a game where they just kind of wound things down. You only have 17 total runs from the team and 24 total passes. So not a lot of time on offense. It seemed like the Falcons were out there on offense a lot, and they just kept turning the ball over, not getting any sort of actual offensive success. So the Chargers seemed to be able to, control the game script to an extent, but it wasn't via the run. It was via their defense just playing extremely well. So yeah, it sucks that they did not stick with the run more there, but they obviously didn't have to. They just had to feed the ball to Ladd McConkey. 9 catches, 117 yards. Good day for him.
Good day for Ladd.
Yep. All righty. Next up, we have the Steelers and the Bengals. Steelers hang 44 points on this Bengals team who kept it close. 38 points from the Bengals. Neither team's defense really looked great in this game, but Russell Wilson, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, big game from Russ, and another 75 yards and 16 carries for Najee Harris, the touchdown on the day. Look, this was an offensive shootout, one that I didn't necessarily expect to see because I expected the Steelers defense to step up. But we had another game, which we're going to go over here later on in the show, that Monday night game with 2 good defenses. That was just a fucking shootout as well. So this was a weird week as far as some of these good defenses allowing a lot of points.
Yeah, man. And this one, like, obviously, we kind of know that the Bengals are a team that can score a lot of fucking points. The Steelers defense is good, but that Cincinnati offense has been on fire recently, and so has Joe Burrow. And that continued. But what came in this game was that we saw old Russell Wilson back out there, man. Old Russell Wilson was cooking like a motherfucker. Throwing moon balls to
Pickens.
yeah, Pickens. Fryermuth had a good fucking day as well. Everybody got involved with this offense. They were distributing the ball all through the air. Najee had a good day on the ground. They could really do nothing wrong on the offensive side of the ball. That's a shitload of points. That's the most points the Steelers have scored in quite some time, I feel like. I don't know the official date, but it doesn't feel like they've scored anywhere near that amount of points. At least not well. Kenny fucking Pickett was playing quarterback there.
No.
So, yeah, the Steelers are legit. That offense is legit. They could be a threat in the AFC.
Pump the brakes on that. They're going up against this Bengals defense that's pretty bad.
Okay,
it makes sense.
The Bengals defense is bad, but 44 points is a fuckload of points.
In the NFL, that is a lot of points. But, I mean, it is a bad Bengals defense that they went up again. I'm still just surprised that the Bengals were able to put up as many points as they did on the Steelers. Now, look, the Bengals offense, again, we know they can be very good. Joe Burrow is very good. They've got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both healthy, doing good things. But still, like 38 points on the Steelers defense, that knocks them down a lot. And it just happens to be a day where this Pittsburgh Steelers offense was actually able to put up the points to keep pace with this Bengals team.
Did you see Jamar Chase's comments after the game?
I did not.
Okay, so he was asked if kind of what the mindset was for him and the rest of the offense when they go out there, if they have to score every time they get the ball. And he very much said that, yeah, like that we basically have to, throwing his defense under the bus. Now, probably the correct answer. Does that answer need to be said out loud in the middle of a press conference in the locker room, though? Thoughts on the comment now that you've heard about it?
I mean, I'm going to have the same comment towards another player later that everyone knows it. There's no need to speak it. If you're supposed to be a team leader, you're supposed to keep that internalized because everyone knows the answer. Like that's a reporter fishing for an answer, which you have to do as a reporter. But typically you're going to get either a no comment or you're going to get some sort of other comment where the player puts it on themselves, be like,
now he did follow up with, got to figure it out, got to be better, the whole not them thing, but there was very much a point in there where it's like, yeah, like they're fucking letting us down.
Yeah, and I get it. It's frustrating, and you want to be genuine and everything, but as one of the leaders of the team, you need to be a little bit better about managing that question and not throwing anyone under the bus.
All right. Excited to hear about that question. Who else we're going to talk about later? I have a guess.
I wonder who it could be.
I have a guess.
Yeah. Next up, though, we have the Cardinals going into Minnesota versus my Vikings. We get a win late in the game, 23-22 over this Cardinals team. Kyler Murray has himself a pretty decent day. Jonathan Connor generally shut down only 63 yards. It's kind of what makes the Vikings the best run defense in the league for the past several weeks and for most of the year for that matter. But look, the offense just was not going at all for the Vikings in that first half. Nothing seemed to be working. Things kind of flipped around. Sam Darnold ended up leading a game-winning drive there at the end. So I don't know what to say. Like we have had 2 games now that we have basically come from behind in the fourth quarter to get a win. A lot of stats being put out there about the Vikings having tons of one-score wins. It seems a little bit eerily reminiscent of 2 years ago where we went on a 13-4 run and were called fakes and frauds because we were getting all these one-score wins. The difference this year, though, is that we are playing good teams close. We are having come from behind wins. We are actually scrappy. We aren't just giving up games. It's a different feeling than that couple years ago where we are actually duking it out with really good teams. And we haven't had any blowouts yet. In that year where we lost those 4 games, each of those games we lost by, I believe, more than 20 points. They were all blowout losses. Our losses this year have all still been close battles. So I'm not taking a whole lot from that right now. I think, obviously we're a good team. We're still relatively healthy. We just have to clean up one big thing, and that is our turnovers. We are, I think, 27th in the league in turnovers as far as giving them up. You're not going to win games in the playoffs playing like that when you're going against really good competition. So, yeah, look, close game, good game from the Cardinals. Like I said, they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be around that 500 team this year, and a tough get there.
Yeah, your offensive line leaves some big question marks now with the injuries. Donald held on to the ball quite a long time in this game. It felt like you guys were able to get it there at the end, though. A couple of costly mistakes by Kyler, and he was throwing up. He was throwing up prayers at the end. I even texted you in the middle of the game. I was like, he just gave you a fucking gift because he just airmailed that fucker to the safety. So, your team is very good. You guys play a great brand of defense. You were able to fluster Kyler into making those mistakes. Couldn't get there. Everybody has a hard time sacking Kyler. But your offensive line is kind of trying to figure out its way right now after losing Darashaw for the year. So,
yeah, for what it's worth, most of that pressure ends up coming off of. I mean, it's coming off of these blitz packages where they're sending 6 guys, 7 guys versus our 5 linemen, and it is overloading.
Sam's got to throw the hot then. Like,
yeah,
one of the two things got to happen.
That's been my biggest complaint, I think, with Sam Darnold is that, especially earlier in the year, he's really good first read and go. A lot of times his first reads are open. If you're able to get him off of his first read where he's having to dissect, he is slower than like a Kirk Cousins was in years previous. He is slower to dissect what's going on, but physically he's got all the arm talent and the ability to slip away. Like, we're seeing him actually break out of the pocket and get out of some of these arm tackles, which you never saw with Kirk Cousins, which I love to see. He's just got to be quicker with the decision making. That's why we're getting as many sacks as we're getting, because when they're bringing that pressure, you got to be able to dump it out quick. And he's not there yet. It's still, I'm happy with the performance that he's having. I think under pressure, he's still one of the top rated quarterbacks in the NFL right now statistically. So for what it's worth, I think he's just getting pressured a shitload, and he's overall doing well with that. But yeah, we still have question marks along the offensive line, especially with Darashaw being out, and I'm still not so sure what we're doing at right guard. Ed Ingram was previously starting for us there at right guard. He's more of a run blocker than a pass blocker. We've now moved in Dalton Reisner, who's more of a pass blocker and not very good in the run. He was the only offensive lineman not to give up pressure on Sunday. So I don't know. We still have some stuff to figure out there. I really wish that we could move on from our center and redo a couple things, but that's for the offseason. We've got a long time before that happens for this Viking squad.
Long way to go. Long way to go. Good win for your boys. Oh, hey, shout out Network 216. Thank you guys for popping in here. Evo, you ready for the next game?
Yes, I am. All right, Indianapolis Colts go versus the New England Patriots. Colts eke out the win 25-24 versus the Pats team. I thought the Pats were going to win this one, but I believe the Colts were able to come back right there at the end to get this win. Richardson throwing for a touchdown and runs for 2 more. That's kind of his brand of football right now. But look, the Patriots are being scrappy. They're sticking it out with some of these teams. Drake May is looking decent, 24-30, 238 yards and a touchdown. Again, this is kind of a lost season for you Patriots fans, but there's a lot of good to like that you're seeing, especially when it comes to the quarterback situation.
Yeah, run heavy game in this game. Anthony Richardson ended up getting in on there at the 2-point conversion. It kind of did come down a little bit to which brand of quarterback run and running back was going to come out ahead. Colts get it done right there at the very end. Patriots played well, though, man. Anthony Richardson played an Anthony Richardson, the Bo Nix Award. I mean, 12 of 24, 50% completion percentage. 2 TDs, 2 picks. It's boom bust. That's the only options you get with Anthony Richardson, man.
Yeah. It's just, it would be interesting to see what he could be with an actual good year, good offseason of coaching, getting that arm under wraps. Because like, it's tough to count last year because of the injury.
Right.
And then obviously he's had some injuries and some benchings this year. It's tough. I'll keep going back to the Kevin O'Connell thing that he said, teams fail young quarterbacks, for young quarterbacks fail teams more often than not. We're starting to see a little bit of that now with Bryce Young. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And looking back at this class from last year as far as the quarterbacks, I mean, as shitty as Richardson's playing, he might be the second best quarterback out of that draft class right now still. CJ Stroud obviously head and shoulders above everyone else, but Richardson right now in 13 starts, he's 18 touchdowns, 14 turnovers, and a 70.8 quarterback rating with an average of 205 yards per game. Bryce Young now is 23 starts, 19 touchdowns, 22 turnovers, a 73.8 quarterback rating, and 184 yards per game. Aiden O'Connell and Will Levis are the next two in line from this grouping here. Aiden O'Connell, 13 starts, 17 touchdowns, 12 turnovers, and an 85 rating, 189 yards per game. And Will Levis kind of rounding out that back end. 21 touchdowns, 21 turnovers, an 84.8 rating, and 205 yards per game. The eye test for Will Levis, though, just is tough. I mean, Richardson's doing good things. He's getting close to getting some wins here, but you got to be throwing better than 50%.
He got to win. They're still winning. I don't know how you sustain winning with this level of play.
I don't either. And that's the thing is, like, I feel like you got to just teach him to do the simple passes at least half the time and then allow him to be electric the rest of the time. That'll get you better than a 50% fucking completion percentage.
Listen, I don't know if Josh Allen is in the business of sharing secrets with other guys in the league, but whoever helped Josh when he got into the league is a fucking genius, is a guru, because Josh was terrible, kind of like this. He was missing easy shit all of the time, and that is drastically cleaned up. Anthony needs to do some of that. He needs to work on the mechanics a little bit. The athleticism is there. He's got to get some mechanical things figured out, because I mean, I think for the season we're still below 50% completion percentage. Let me double check.
I think it's got to be close. Yeah,
that's right at 50% completion percentage.
Yep.
Oh no, just kidding. 47.4%.
Yeah, that's egregiously bad. I mean, it's cool that he's got the ability to run and stuff like that, but modern NFL, you have to be able to throw closer to that 60% mark.
Yeah.
And
you're not even in
are there.
50%.
Like the options are there. He's got to be able to learn to throw some touch, and because they can't all be 0 to 100. Like he's overthrowing guys. He needs some mechanical work. He needs to be able to throw a touch pass. I think the sky's the limit for Anthony Richardson, but he needs some really, really good coaching to break some old bad habits.
Yeah.
All right. Next game up, we have the Seahawks and the Jets. Seahawks get the win here, 26-21. Aaron Rodgers throws an interception to Leonard Williams, who returns it against his old team, 92 yards for a touchdown. Zach Charbonnet, I made sure to bring him up on the show. And what does he do? He goes and runs for a touchdown here at the end. Seahawks are able to hold those Jets off and get the win 26-21. And after the game, Aaron Rodgers was asked about, how things went and, where blame kind of lies. And in more or less words, he said, sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes. And sometimes, there's a bunch of other guys on the field. All but saying, yeah, I make mistakes, but also everyone else is making a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of blame to go around. And again, it's one of those, hey, everyone knows you guys are a 3-9 team. Everyone knows you are not good. Maybe don't throw everyone else under the bus, especially when you yourself are a huge part of the problem. Maybe not just, like I said with Jamar Chase, like the right thing to do, even though Jamar Chase isn't necessarily the bad guy, he's not the one bringing the team down. Shoulder a bunch of that blame. Be like, I need to do better to propel my team to be better. Or you could be Aaron Rodgers and you could say, even though I'm throwing 92-yard interception returns for touchdowns, there's 10 other guys on offense that maybe you guys should talk about. He is a majority of the problem on this offense. I'm going to say it flat out. Like, He won't, but I will. Aaron Rodgers is not who he used to be. He is a big part of the problem on this team, and he should be shouldering a majority of the blame, not just as a quarterback and a captain of this team, but in general.
How about as the architect? How about as the fucking architect of this team? He should be blamed because that's exactly what this is. These are Aaron Rodgers guys. This is people that Aaron wants on his squad, but I don't know if it's just so he has scapegoats or guys that he knows won't push back when Aaron says it's their fucking fault, not his fault. Because Aaron is playing like shit. 28.9 is his QBR. Throws the pick, and listen, Leonard Williams is a very athletic man. How the fuck did nobody catch him? 97 yards from a D tackle?
92, but yeah, we're splitting hairs
fucking hairs here. Yeah.
Look, I don't know.
Where's Aaron trying to chase this down?
To Aaron's credit, he went and was a lead blocker on one play, on a little end around or something like that, which was funny when he got rocked. But look, 21 to 39, that's a decent completion percentage for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. You're not propelling the team forward. You're not. Now, as far as you saying using all these people as scapegoats and everything, I mean, if he had the forethought to do that, to be the architect of this team and to intentionally have scapegoats, that's some 4D chess, and I won't give him the fucking credit for it. He was the architect of a shit team with players that just don't drive together. That being said, a bunch of the guys that are brought in, like Devontae Adams, can still be good.
I believe if Devontae Adams has a good fucking quarterback throwing him the ball, he's still one of the top 10 receivers in the league.
He very well could be. You've got a running back that could be top 10 in the league in Breece Hall. Braylon Allen is a great piece to him. You got a decent offensive line. Like, there's Garrett Wilson out there. There's a lot of weapons on this team. The sole issue here is Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's not getting the ball to these guys. I don't give a fuck who's calling the plays. Like, a good quarterback is going to make that shit happen. You're not having a situation like they had in Chicago where it's just completely asinine plays or the coach ruining things. It's just Aaron's not doing his job out there. Like, plain and simple, as far as I'm concerned. So
when you have that much talent, you should be doing much better than what you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Either way, Jets drop this game. Seattle wins. They're now 7-5. They are still absolutely in the thick of things down in the NFC West. They are in the lead at 7-5 with the Cardinals right behind them at 6-6, and the Rams also 6-6. We'll get into that Rams game here in a little bit. Next up, we have the Titans and Commanders. Commanders get a big W here, 42 points hung on the Titans to their 19. Will Levis 18-37 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he also did not look great in doing so. Nothing on this team really looked great, especially on the defensive side, because 42 points is a lot to put up. Just like we said, 44 points earlier for the Steelers. Commanders putting up 42 points. That's quite a bit. Jaden Daniels needed this. If you wanted to still be talked about in that offensive rookie of the year conversation, which we was slowly slipping away and ceding a lot of ground to Bo Nix and the Bo Leavers, he needed this game. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 206 yards. So good day for Jaden Daniels. Good day for this entire offense here. Brian Robinson getting 103 rushing yards, another 94 rushing yards from Rodriguez. Really good rushing day there. And then scary Terry McLaurin had himself a decent day in the air. But they were able to do most of this via the ground game. Good day for the Commanders.
Listen, Titans were one of the best rushing defenses in football coming into this game. Commanders did anything they wanted, ran all over him. Brian Robinson early hit him with the 40-yard touchdown. Jaden Daniels basically sliced and diced, did anything that he wanted to do. Will Levis under 50% completion percentage. That's a pretty bad day. Like we just talked about Anthony Richardson, under 50% completion percentage. You can't fucking win football games like that. You just don't move the ball efficiently enough. Sure, you move it sometimes. You throw for 200 yards. Great. But if you can't string that shit together, it's all kind of a moot point. Scary Terry, dog, dude. Love that dude. So glad for Scary Terry. I'll say that every week. The Commanders are good. And I gotta tell you, this seemed like one of the more predictable outcomes of the week. The fall back to grace for Will Levis was going to be swift and hard after a great week. And I didn't think Jaden Daniels was staying down for too long. That's just not the kind of player that I think Jaden Daniels is going to be. He's going to be that guy that rises to the occasion. So,
all righty. Next up, we have the Texans and Jaguars. Texans get the win in Jacksonville, 23-20. Trevor Lawrence plays this game and then proceeds to get knocked out of the game quite literally by Al-Shaair. Interesting. He's been suspended now by the league for 3 games. He is protesting that or contesting it, however you want to put it. And he was ejected from the game when it happened. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this hit. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence went down for the slide, but if you're looking at slow-mo cut-ups, Al-Shaair was already leaned forward. He wasn't actually fully in the tackle motion yet, but he was leaned forward when Trevor started that slide motion. Look, it was a pretty brutal hit, no doubt. I understand him getting kicked out of the game, especially in real time. A 3-game suspension, though, that's
too
tough,
long.
especially when he's come out and he said, I apologize for what had happened. I don't think he should just be suspended any games at this point, to be completely honest. He was kicked out of that one game. You're talking about, again, we're talking milliseconds. Like,
I understand. I 100% agree with you, man. There's nothing that he can do, but you have to kind of make an example. You have to give this guy the suspension. 3 games is too long. They gave him 3, knowing that they're going to reduce it. No doubt in my mind that they're going to reduce this down to 1 game, and then boom, it's done, over with. It's probably too long because when you go back and you look, yeah, for sure, there's no fucking way to stop it. He was already into his step to tackle. And sure, maybe did he launch? I don't know, man. Like, he's going down to make a play. But here's the thing, and I'm going to say something that people are not going to like, especially for Pat Mahomes fans. But the reason that this shit happens is because guys like Pat Mahomes are using the fucking fakes, like a fake slide type thing, to gain extra yards. And defenses aren't letting that shit happen anymore. You cannot, like, I understand using the rules to bend your way to take an advantage. You're going to get people fucked up, though, by doing that.
Yeah. Look,
there's just no way to pull up. And if you
no, not at all. You can't peel off. Also, if you are in that motion, you can't peel off and not hit the guy. Like, you're typically going to be matching your face mask and that momentum towards the other player's chest. So as they go down, you're like a missile heat seeking right on that chest as well. You can't pull up the same. It's the reason why I don't think that he deserves any game of suspension here is that this was not like some sort of obvious malicious hit. Like, if this was a common occurrence with this player, then I could understand suspending him outside of just this one game. And I know that Jags fans aren't going to like that, but it's the reality of football is players are going out there to hit. You're talking about 230, 250 pound fucking dudes flying at 4.4 speed, trying to hit the other player to knock them out of the game, to knock the ball loose. They aren't necessarily trying to injure the other guy. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them are. It's just the quiet part that they don't want to say. But still, like, this is a violent game, and there is no human way to stop that tackle when it has been initiated. We are dissecting something that happened in something like 0.3 seconds. To make a decision and then to make a physical action is just simply impossible. And I don't believe that it was a malicious hit. I mean, he has come out and said that he is sorry for what had happened and that it wasn't his intention to do that and everything. You've got to take a guy at his word to an extent, unless it has been his history, his MO, to go out here and have this sort of a play. This isn't like Bob Sanders back in the day where he's just fucking destroying everybody, or what's his name, Vontae's Perfect. It's not like a Vontae's Perfect situation where he's out there obviously maliciously hitting a dude. Ndamukong Suh, like, you can list off all these players that we know are malicious with their hits. I don't believe that's Al-Shaair. So I personally think that the entire 3 games should be washed away. It'll be interesting to see what happens through this review process, though.
Yeah, I would imagine it'll probably get reduced. It's a tough spot no matter what. If you're a defensive player, you're definitely probably on Al-Shair's side. If you're an offensive player, you're on the quarterback side. You can't legislate this out, but I think what we could do is maybe penalize the fake slide. It's not supposed to be allowed in the game anyways, but we have seen it several times where these guys tiptoe on the sidelines, kind of giving like this little hezzy that they almost looks like they're going to slide. Like, stop. We got to get that out, and then we can, because we're just putting these defensive players at such a distinct disadvantage. I'm not sure the NFL cares because offense sells tickets.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens with that. Either way, the Texans go to 8-5. They are still looking good in the AFC South.
They don't cover, though.
A few games ahead.
They don't fucking cover.
No. And look, that's the thing is they are well ahead in the AFC South, but this does not look like a team that's ready to make a long playoff run, to be completely honest. Which sucks. We expected a lot better from the Texans this year, but they're still a team that is ascending, looking good in a relatively otherwise kind of shitty AFC South. Next game, we have the Rams and the Saints. Rams get the win 21-14 here versus the Saints. Saints lose Taysom Hill for the year, ACL injury. I wonder how you feel about that one after he just had a day against your team.
I am never happy for anybody being injured ever. However, I'm glad I don't have to hear about the greatest thing in the NFL in Taysom Hill anymore for a little while. He will be back. He will continue to play. I'm very happy for Taysom Hill in his long career. I'm tired of hearing about Taysom Hill this year. I'm fucking tired of it.
Alrighty, fair enough. Rams do get this win, though. They still remain tied with the Cardinals in the NFC West. In second place, they're at 6-6. A bunch of dropped balls from the Rams players. I think that would have actually helped them out a lot. Like, the score wouldn't have been nearly as close. Puka had some untimely dropped balls in this game. But overall, solid game from the Rams. Good game from Kyron Williams, running the ball 104 yards on 15 carries. Alvin Kamara, from what I saw from the game, he was getting lit the fuck up, running real hard, though. 23 carries, 114 yards. And basically next to no passing game of relevance for the Saints team. Yes, they got a touchdown, but 184 yards. It was just kind of a mediocre day. And Aaron Rodgers' day, almost identical stat line, it seems like, except for Derek Carr is better because he didn't throw fucking interceptions.
This entire game was very ho-hum. Like, okay, we're playing a football game. Good things happen, bad things happen. Like, this game wasn't exciting. Rams get the win. Rams potentially a playoff team fighting there at the back half. Saints should now be officially done. Alvin Kamara is a stud. Taysom Hill, very good football player. I am not happy that he is injured. I'm never happy that anybody's injured. Derek Carr, the saga continues because that contract, I don't think they can get out of that anytime soon. I think he's got at least another year there. So,
yep. Alrighty, next up we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out in Carolina versus the Panthers. Buccaneers win this game 26-23 in overtime. The real story here, though, is like I've been joking, like, oh, you don't want to go up against this Panthers team. They're kind of starting to look a little bit decent. Like they are having a glow up for sure in this second half of the year. The defense is still
Bryce Young's playing really good. I'll fucking sit here and admit
he is looking.
He had that one stepped up, fucking slides to the right on the pocket, dot. Looked good, man. Looked really good.
And look, we saw some really nice catches from Adam Thielen. Nice one-hander from Thielen. Touchdown from him towards the end. 8 receptions, 99 yards. But that's the thing is Bryce Young, he is not blowing the roof off by any means, but he's looking a lot more like the first-round quarterback that we expected or hoped he would be. You didn't expect him to be. I mean, you were down on him. But look, he's looking like an average NFL quarterback. At least he did in this game. And then when it was coming down to them having to make these plays at the end of the game, he didn't look like the spotlight was too big on him. Like he looked cool, calm, composed. He did well. He did everything that you want to see from him.
Well, that's what
Realistically,
they
if
said
this
out of college.
Panthers,
Ultra smart guy, knows everything about the game. Like, so he should be good in those moments. And we actually have starting to actually get to see that a little bit because he's playing better physically, like actually doing a good job. Line protected him well as well.
yeah, like the thing that they didn't do good this game was run the ball. They've been running the ball good with Chuba Hubbard. Jonathan Brooks did not look good in this game. They kept feeding it to him at the goal line and ended up taking a field goal there at the end. If they had gotten the touchdown, like this could have been a very different game. But Chuba Hubbard, 12 carries, 43 yards. That's what they were missing in this game. Look, I don't think that this Carolina team is going to surprise anybody next year or anything like that, unless they have some really good action happen in the offseason. But they're able to be competitive. If Bryce Young is starting to develop, they don't have to look at quarterback so early in the draft like we were thinking that they would. It's going to bring a lot of questions into play. Like if Bryce continues to play like this for the rest of the year, maybe they can start to focus on all the other warts that this team has. I'm still apprehensive, but look, organizations fail their young quarterbacks more often than the young quarterback fails their organization.
Great quote, man.
We're starting to see that happen. Like you're starting to see that. You're starting to see how previously considered bad quarterbacks are going places, Sam Darnold, and having their career rejuvenated. Like it might be a thing. It might be a thing that we got to give these guys more time. And this could be a transformative year for the NFL to owners. Hey, don't be so quick to move off of a guy or something like that. Look, good job from the Panthers. They're definitely a team that we're going to have to watch going forward here and be a little bit more apprehensive about our picks when it concerns them for sure. Buccaneers, they are able to go out there and get the win. Baker Mayfield made it happen at the end despite having a couple nasty interceptions. Kyle Trask did have to step in. Baker thought he tore his Achilles or ruptured his Achilles in the game. That's why he went out of the game. He just got cleated real bad. According to some injury experts that I was listening to on SiriusXM, apparently getting cleated in the back of the leg is more painful than rupturing your Achilles. I would think it'd be the other way around. But apparently it's a pretty common thing that guys will get hit with that cleat in the back of the leg, think they rupture their Achilles, and it's just a really bad contusion. The Achilles rupture apparently actually isn't that painful. You feel the snap and everything, and things kind of go dull, numb, less than pain. So
I feel like it's a shock more than anything. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I just felt my muscles shoot up into my leg.
Right. Either way, Baker's able to get it done. There at the end, they're able to go down. Big game from Bucky Irving. He was running the ball super well. 25 carries, 152 yards and a tud. Yeah, look, Mike Evans being back is definitely a big boost to this team. 8 catches, 118 yards and a touchdown. Tampa, I didn't expect them to play this close with the Panthers, but Panthers are something to kind of watch going forward.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, Baker got it done at the end. Bucky Irving is a fucking dog, dude. Bucky Irving's going to be around the league for a while. Panthers, listen, I'm not ready to start making all these proclamations, but Bryce is playing better. The same thing happened with some other guys that I had very serious doubts on. I like that Bryce is playing better. I'm happy for Bryce. I'm not ready to say that Bryce is going to be a starting quarterback in this league yet. I'm going to pump the brakes on the Bryce Young hype, but I will give him his credit. He has played much better as of recent.
Yeah, like I said, we got to watch how the rest of the season goes, but Carolina's been putting together some good weeks. And so we're starting to see a little bit of a track record here. It's definitely worth watching.
How many Indian summers did the MILF Hunter give the Jets fans, bro? Like thinking, maybe he's got it. Oh, maybe he's figured it out. Maybe. So I'm very much pumping the brakes on any maybe that they figured it out yet.
He didn't have consistency. He would have a little bit of here and there, a game here and there type thing, but nothing really that was consistent. You're starting to see a consistent amount of good play from Bryce Young, at least average play, like Andy Dalton level play when he was with the Bengals. So like, and it's because Andy Dalton's there came to mind, with the Panthers. But I mean, like, you're seeing some decent stuff from Bryce there. It's worth watching. I too am not like saying that he's the next best thing since sliced bread, but it is still interesting to watch and kind of cool and uplifting. I running backs that I thought were going to do good in this draft actually showing up. I was a fan of Bucky Irving coming out of Oregon, fan of Tyler Tracy. Both those guys are probably two of the better rookie running backs in the league right now. Excited to see them and their careers going forward. Next game, Eagles and Ravens. This ended up being a close one, 24-19, but the Eagles kind of felt like they were dominating the whole time. Big ass game from Saquon Barkley again, proving that he is the best running back in the league right now. 23 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. And then he was able to put up another 10 yards through the air. Like, really good game from him. So close to getting me that Lineman Lounge parlay. But they were just, in general, felt like they were dominated, especially in that second half. Not a great day from Derrick Henry, 82 yards. I mean, that's a good day. Bad. But you're talking about the two guys that are considered like the two top running backs in the league, and one of them definitely just looked the part way more as the best running back in the league right now.
Well, the Eagles' offense runs through in Saquon Barkley almost entirely at this point, as it should. Saquon Barkley might be the most dynamic offensive player in the NFL right now, because he can catch it, he can run it, fucking jump over you backwards if he needs to. Derrick Henry is a great running back. He had a decent day, 82 yards, 4.3 yards a carry. But Derrick Henry's just that kind of plodding runner. Lamar Jackson had a pretty good game, but we didn't see like really good Lamar Jackson until much later in the game when it felt like this game was already done. Because like you said, the Eagles felt like they were in control of this game the majority of the way. I mean, the score was close, but God, it didn't feel like it was all that close.
A big part of it for me was Lamar at the end. He was missing some open guys. There was times that Zay Flowers was like losing it because he was open, wasn't getting the ball sent to him. Like, Lamar had himself a pretty decent game, but I still kind of pin this a little bit more on Lamar. He wasn't making the necessary throws, the kind of clutch throws towards the end that he needed to continue this game going forward. It wasn't a terrible game by any means, but when he needed to put things together, they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this Ravens team is good, but they're not that good. I have some reservations about this team. I really do. The defense worries me. The Eagles, listen, they are a good team. We expected them to be good. Their offense can be incredibly dynamic. We need to see more out of Jalen Hurts if they're going to really take that step and go try to compete and win a Super Bowl. But right now, this team is definitely good enough to go out and make a long run into the playoffs. And dude, how about that fucking tackle? Cooper DeJean coming up and just perfect form tackle on Derrick Henry. Lifts Derrick Henry up. Like, my goodness. That is a textbook tackle on a very large human being. Cooper DeJean finally maybe finding a little bit of a niche there. He did not play very much at all to start this year. So
yeah. Look, they have a lot of decent names there in the secondary. It was just questions of whether or not they would play to their potential. And that's why Cooper DeJean's getting a little bit more play out there. Some injuries and whatnot have allowed him to mix in. And he's growing. He's a rookie. You wouldn't expect him to be lights out his first year. Look, I will say it. I've been not bashing this Eagles team, but I've been saying, hey, we need to take this with a grain of salt. They're on a winning streak, but they haven't been playing high competition. But look, now it's 3 weeks in a row. The Commanders, the Rams, the Ravens, all teams that are pretty solid, and they've beat all those teams pretty decently. Like, the Eagles are a scary team right now in the NFC for sure. They're going to be right on the heels of the Lions for the number 1 seed. So if the Lions start dropping games here, it could be a problem. But the Eagles play the Panthers next week.
Uh-oh. Sneaky Panthers team.
Sneaky Panthers team. Then you got the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. They'll finish off the year with 2 wins probably, but they have a couple difficult games coming up here in the schedule. So props to the Eagles. They've been doing good, and I do think that they are for real at this point. Alrighty. Next up, 49ers and Bills. Bills get the win in a snowy game, 35-10 versus this 49ers team. Bills lock up a playoff spot in this game. 49ers have kind of lost their entire season, though. It feels like you lose both of your starting running backs, Mason onto IR, Christian McCaffrey with a PCL injury onto IR. It looked scary because you saw him step and that recoil in the leg. That wasn't even the play that he had gotten hurt on. It was the play before where he landed on his knee. Apparently, that's been identified as that injury. And then while he was running, felt something else pop, went down on his own. That was the end of the game for him. It's a tough one for the 49ers. And look, the 49ers have not been having a good year as far as injuries this year. And it's probably time to kind of string things up and call it a year and focus on to the future because they're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make. They need to pay Brock Purdy. You could be seeing guys like Debo walk, Christian McCaffrey be cut because they know they can get by with guys like Jordan Mason. If they want to pay Brock the big dollars, they're going to have to make some tough decisions here going forward. It'll be really interesting to see what Joe Rockstar thinks of how they should attack this offseason when we get there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's going to be tough is if they make the decision to cut Christian McCaffrey, because with him going to the IR now, the trade's off the table. I thought might have been a trade market. If somebody wanted to go out and maybe make a move for Christian McCaffrey, they can move off of him and give Mason an opportunity to come up and take the first team snaps. Now that McCaffrey goes to the IR, that's going to be kind of off the table. I don't think anybody's making a trade for Christian McCaffrey with his injury history and multiple injuries this year. When he came back, it did not look nearly as explosive as before the injury. You're going to have a hard time getting much of anything besides like a 5th round pick for Christian McCaffrey at this point, I think. Aging running backs are not high in demand.
Yeah, it could be a difficult market. Let's see here. He's got 2 more years left on his 3 more years left on his deal.
That's a lot of money.
20, 25, 26, 27, and then he has 3 void years on top of that.
So if they cut him, they're looking at a huge chunk of salary. The only way you can really kind of dump that is with a trade, even though he still got quite a bit of that deal guaranteed, if my memory serves me right. I think over half that deal was guaranteed.
See, contract extension 2 years, $38 million, 19 average, and a $14.2 million signing bonus, 24 guaranteed.
Yeah. So I mean, they still owe him a good chunk of money, regardless. I don't know if they'll cut him. They have to try to find a way to trade him. I don't know if anybody's going to be in that market though. So they're in a bad spot going forward. The re-signing of Ayuk is going to kind of really hinder what this team can do for that. I think probably Debo will be on the move this offseason. I don't know who is going to be in the market for a Debo Samuel. I mean, everybody should be in the market for a Debo Samuel. Who's going to have the juice to go get him? Who are they going to want to deal with? It's going to be somebody in the AFC.
Patriots.
Yeah, maybe. Patriots can give up a chunk.
They've got a lot of cap room. They need wide receivers. Young quarterback. Debo might be open to playing there. They need dynamic playmakers on that offense. I think that the Patriots could probably just start pulling the trigger and going after fucking big name guys if they need to.
Yeah, well, now they got a shitload of cap space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Potential move there to be on the lookout for. But man, the Bills are really good. Josh Allen's really good. They can do anything they want, basically anytime they want. Ran the ball like crazy in this game, dude.
Yeah.
They took the script of the 49ers and just flipped it on them. Like they just ran it down their throats. Brock Purdy couldn't do shit in this game.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up the play where Josh Allen threw the ball and then had it lateral back to him and he ran it in. I believe that they said that was credited as both a passing and receiving touchdown.
It was
Josh Allen on that same play. Great fantasy.
And the reception and the yards. And I know that because I have Josh Allen in one of my fantasy leagues.
Yeah. And he ran for a touchdown as well. Huge day for Josh Allen. Like, if he's not the number 1 candidate for MVP right now this year, With
Lamar.
Saquon probably in.
Lamar, man. Lamar is playing so fucking good.
He's playing good, but he's not playing Josh Allen good. I think it's Josh Allen, Saquon, and then the rest.
Wow. All right.
Like the way that he's playing right now is.
I love Saquon, and I would put Saquon very high. But do I think that's the way the list is? No, because he's a running back. So I think it's probably Josh Allen, Lamar, or Lamar, Josh Allen.
Yeah. Look, the way that Josh has been playing, he's been wearing the Superman cape and he's been doing the thing. Lamar has been wearing the Robin cape. He's there sometimes. That sounds very bad. Look, Lamar's having a really good year. Like, I don't want to act like he's not having a great year, but it just feels like Josh Allen is on a different level right now. And Patrick Mahomes isn't anywhere near the conversation. Burn. Let's call a spade a spade. He's a bottom 15 quarterback right now in the NFL. Browns and Broncos Monday night game. I'm sure you're going to love to talk about this one.
Yeah.
Clip it. Clip me talking shit about Mahomes. I'm sure someone will come and burn my house down or something.
You were talking about Mahomes, not Taylor Swift. You'll be all right. Those Swifties are fucking crazy, though.
It's true. It's true. Or the Beyonce Beehive. Thank God she's with Jay-Z and not an NFL player that I have to talk shit about. Your Browns go into Denver versus the Broncos. 41-32, an absolute wild game to watch. Jerry Jeudy taking it to his old team, man. Huge day. I think it was the second most receiving yards by a player this year, right behind, or actually sandwiched in between, Jamar Chase. Jameis Winston goes 34 of 58 for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But 4 touchdowns, almost 500 yards of passing. Not a huge amount of runs in this game. 77 yards on the ground for your Browns team. But 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, man, from Jameis Winston. And 3 interceptions. Couple pick sixes. So what do you take from this game for your Browns team? Because look, obviously Bo Nix had himself a decent game too. 18-35, 1 touchdown, but also had 2 interceptions in this game. Wasn't perfect by any means, but a huge offensive day from your team. Is it worth having those mistakes for the production that you're able to have in those 32 touchdowns, or 32 points?
If those 2 pick sixes are just interceptions, then yes, it is worth it. If you think about it in like straight mathematically, you take those points off the board, we win the fucking game. Mm-hmm. We don't know if our defense holds up, though. So you can't really say, listen, I can tell you that it's more fun to watch Jameis Winston play football than it was to watch Deshaun Watson play football. I can actually watch the offense go up and down the field and things will happen. They're not always great. Sometimes they're spectacular, though. I at least have a little bit of joy when I'm watching these games, because when I was watching Deshaun play, there was no joy. It was like just a dark cloud of 5-yard checkdowns after 5-yard checkdown after 5-yard checkdown. I at least get bombs. Sometimes I get bombs that are 5 yards over the head of the wide receiver when it should be a clear-cut touchdown, because Jerry Jeudy should have gone for, 350 last night if Jameis hits him when he's supposed to.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe not. Probably.
The answer is yes, man. The answer is yes. Yeah, Browns football is a lot of fucking fun to watch now. You're not going to necessarily win every game, but it's going to be a fun watch. That's what we figured out in this one. I would
500 yards, bro.
10 times out of 10 times, I would want to watch Jameis out there playing football over Deshaun. Like you said, dark cloud, Amber, clip it. It is not fun watching Deshaun Watson out there. But look, being a Browns fan or not being a Browns fan, that game was fun to watch because it was a lot of offense. It was explosive plays, good and bad. And that's what I would want to roll with going forward. Obviously, for the rest of the year, it's what you're going to do. But next year, if you aren't able to get a quarterback, or even if you do get a quarterback in the draft, run with Jameis. Let him be the guy out there while your young guy sits and learns, or leave Deshaun on the bench, whatever it takes. that is the type of football that you want to see more so than the alternative, which is Deshaun Watson and dark, cloudy days. Like if I was a Browns fan in the way that you are, I would absolutely prefer Winston 100% of the time. Because look, you're gonna get some wins out of it.
I'm past this point though. I'm past the point of Deshaun. I am going to put it in my brain that we're going to do something correct. Now, I don't know why I'm going to do this, but I'm going to put it in my brain that we're going to do the right fucking thing, and we're not going to play Deshaun Watson at quarterback again. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but for right now, that's the fucking fantasy world I'm going to live in so I can enjoy the rest of the season. Because I can be like, man, next year when Jameis gets to start the whole season, it's a whole offseason as knowing he's a starter, going to mentor a young guy. This is going to be great. So I'm going to live in that fucking fantasy world for a little while. I don't care about what Deshaun's doing. I know that Deshaun is not fun to watch. I know Winston's better. Winston should be the guy going into next year. The quarterback situation is going to be in flux for the next 2 years at least, I think, because we still don't know if we're going to take a guy high in this draft or not. It will very much depend on how we finish these games. We could easily fall out of a position where we want to take one of these quarterbacks because there's a lot of really good defensive talent, like up front in this draft, as well as some good offensive tackle talent in this draft, which the Browns could fucking use both of. So
yeah. I'm not going to lie.
I'm okay with building on the line and not going quarterback and just running Jameis back. No matter what, Deshaun's going to be on the team. I'm just going to live in the fantasy that he's not going to play.
I was going to say, I'm not going to lie. I've already started looking a little bit into the 2025 NFL draft, and it's an interesting group. Tons of defensive linemen, specifically edge rushers. It's a big draft for them. A lot of them. None of them necessarily stand out as like the alpha yet to me, but there's a lot of them. A lot of running backs. If you need a running back, this is a great year for a fucking running back. We're talking about a loaded first 3 rounds. Some decent wide receiver talent. 2 to 3 first round guys, depending on what you view Travis Hunter as. And in not a great quarterback draft. Offensive lineman, there's some definitely good offensive linemen, but I don't know if there's necessarily a top 5 one.
There's some good tackles in that fucking 5 to 12 range.
And the thing is, I don't know if all of them are actually tackles in the NFL. I think I like a lot of them as better as guards with tackle flexibility. But look, that is off-season show stuff where I'm getting prepared for the off-season because I know it's going to be a fun one when we get down to it. But that wraps up week 13 for us.
Yeah.
We got a Thursday night game to go over, though. Bye week for week 14 for the Broncos, Colts, Patriots, Commanders, Ravens, and Texans. A little bit of a shorter week for us here with 3 less games than normal, but we have a good one on Thursday night. A fun NFC North matchup here. Packers and Lions. Big playoff implications for both teams in this game. Being played in Detroit, the spread is Detroit -3. And you can get, I was at -3 earlier. It's -3.5. -3.5, -104 odds on FanDuel. Or you can give those points to the Packers for -118 odds. Mike, where are you going in this game?
We talked about the Lions to start this show. It's only fitting that we talk Lions to end this show. Injuries are a huge, huge problem. The Packers are really good. They run the ball really well. But the Lions are playing in Detroit, baby. They're going inside. The Motor City Kitties get to play indoors in their home field. Give me the Lions -3.5. Close game, I think. Some weird shit might happen. We might see a special teams play in this game. This feels like a Dan Campbell pulls something out of his ass in this game. Goes out and gets a big dub. We know that he's liable to do that any week, but I think that we're looking at maybe 3.5 is tough. It's close. 4 or 5 points is where I'm seeing this. But I'm going Lions -3.5. I know that you hate the Packers, but I feel like it's going to be tough for you to go with the Lions after the case you made that they're so beat up at the start of the show.
And that's the thing is Detroit is playing at home indoors where Jared Goff can absolutely do everything that he wants to do. Like that is what is going to propel the Lions forward is the ability to have an unimpeded offense. Packers defense is all right, but they haven't been going up against a Detroit Lions style offense. The other thing that has really helped the Packers is playing at home, playing outdoors in their style of football, that run, ground and pound in that cold weather environment. But the Packers they're out for blood. They know the Lions are bloodied right now on that defense. And the Lions just barely beat a Bears team that is worse than this Packers team. I'm taking the Packers plus the points in this one. I don't expect the Packers to win, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. I think that this game could be within 3 points. When I saw it before that it was -3 for Detroit, I thought that this is a classic push scenario. So the hook here definitely made me lean more towards the Packers. So going Packers plus the points in this one on Thursday night.
All right, Packers plus the points for you. Lions -3.5 for me. We are right now currently tied 97 and 1 on the year, even 500. Somebody will drop below 500 to start the week. But brother, that's it. We can wrap this thing up and let the people know when they can catch us next.
Yeah, so we have our show on Sunday morning where we're going to be going over all the rest of these games and talking a little bit about this Thursday night game, which will be a fun one. But yeah, man, week 14 is upon us, and the Vikings could potentially lock up a playoff spot this week. I don't know if you saw any of that, but technically they are able to lock up a playoff spot if everything falls their way. I wrote it down here. We need to win our game, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. There we go. Vikings beat the Falcons. It's going to be a fun one this week going against Kirk Cousins. Seahawks need to beat the Cardinals, and the Bills need to beat the Rams. The Vikings have locked up a playoff spot. Absolutely possible in week 14 that the Vikings might lock up a playoff spot. I'm super excited for that.
Hell yeah. Brown's not technically mathematically eliminated, but
you need oh, brother.
I know. I'm the copium. It's strong. I got it. I know where we're at. I'm just trying to enjoy it while I can, brother. At least I get to watch Jameis Winston play football.
Hey, and look, everybody that's watching and everybody that watches, if you like seeing this sort of content where we just go balls to the wall for our teams and try to pretend that we're being unbiased with it, please throw us a like, share us, and subscribe to our channel on the YouTube. We'd really appreciate that. We're just a couple dummy thick idiots who are really big football fans and fans of our teams, and we'll like to put our blinders on and think that the world is perfect, at least for those moments where our teams are doing well.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it was very reminiscent today. Amber was very happy to make the video of you giving me the face when I said the Browns were not mathematically eliminated last episode. I just remember doing this to you last year when you were trying to fight the urge to just say the season was over. I'm not there yet. We're not eliminated. It ain't over yet. But these years where one of our teams are down, it's tough. It's tough.
But at least it's not both of us being down, because that would suck balls. It would just be humdrum melancholy in the lounge studios. That would be terrible.
We'd just be slinging shit across. It would be an interesting show. But guys, this is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That's Evo. If you want to interact with our show, go to anywhere down below. You got X, Facebook, TikTok, the call line, and that YouTube channel that Evo was just talking about. We got a lot of shorts, our live videos, some other videos coming out there as well. And if you want to check out all of the content that is generated, go check out nosleevesnetwork.com. That is where everything is contained. We got some blogs. There's a movie, short film on there, and then links to all of the content that is associated with the No Sleeves Network. But with that, we are going to get out of here, guys. I'm Mike. That's Evo. We will be back Sunday morning with more bets for the rest of week 14. But with that, we're getting out of here. See ya!